The notice says 6:30. We can't change that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, what I mean is like waiting rather than closing the meeting at 1:45, waiting until like
because that's what our constitution specifies. We can't go beyond it. So 15 minutes, and then from the start time, and then we'd have to give everyone a week's notice, so not the full 2 weeks. So it'd probably be potentially next weekend or sometime the midweek after, if we had to. But fingers crossed, we'll be getting some more people.
How many have to join per the constitution for it to be?
So it's 5% of member publications,
Okay.
which is 8.4 or something like that.
Okay.
So rounded it up, it's 9.
I think we've just had one more person
Nathan,
join.
I believe you're representing.
This is Nathan from
the
University of Missouri.
Well, 8 wouldn't be 5%, so it has to be 9. Nathan Young, I believe you're representing one of the members.
Hi, Nathan.
That's a good question, Morgan. It depends what their involvement is with Wessex Scene.
I've spoken to the editor, but she hasn't got back to me. Would a section editor be permitted to join?
If they've got the approval of, if Linnea is fine with the section editor representing the publication, then that's fine.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to hear back from. Yeah, but I've WhatsApped her, so maybe if Morgan could Facebook her, that would work.
If you want, I can ask the incoming editor because she replies quicker. Or I could ask them both.
Either's fine. We're currently on 5.
Oh, racing against the clock, 7 minutes. It's basically like because I know maybe has Chris spoken to UEA, the editor for that? Are they in here?
I haven't, but I'll do that now.
Yeah, it might be worthwhile. And I'm trying to think.
I'll message the Forge editor.
Because I think Courier will definitely come if I speak to Grace, and I know yeah, but thank you all for coming, like, and giving up your time for this. And I hope you've had a nice day so far. Like, the elections have been pretty wild. I don't know if you've been following that, but I'm a massive politics nerd, so I've had a lot of fun with it. Okay, so oh yeah, is the Leeds editor here? I've got the name of the Leeds paper.
I've reached Keki from Strand. She's going to come.
Great, that would be 6.
But
Beth Dawson's here from Insight.
Oh, Bethany.
Great.
Hi, Bethany.
Bethany.
Hi.
I missed you.
I realised that was probably really loud. I missed you too.
I've just messaged Emily, the incoming editor, and Linnea, the current editor of Wessex Scene. I'll let you know which one replies the quickest.
My housemate is a member of the Stag. I'll get them quickly.
They can just sit on the same call if they want. Like, just bring them.
Yeah, bring a friend. Bring your cat. If anyone has cats, you can bring them as well. You're very welcome to bring your cats. Like, please.
Publication is the cat representing?
Oh, that's more
surely the journal for the whatever felines.
Journal of matter pertaining to felines. He's going to send me all the magazines for it, and I'm so buzzed for it. Like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The cat is representing pause for thought.
So I'll speak to the deputy of what's it called?
We've just one more person is just joining now.
Yeah, Keki, that would be 7.
So Linnea and Macy, who's the deputy editor, are unable to join, but that she's going to send it out to the Wessex Scene Committee, and they will be elected to represent Wessex Scene.
And the incoming editor is also a current committee member.
Pete Ferguson from the Stag is going to join.
Yeah,
Great.
I'm quickly going to message the Cherwell editor, but I don't know how busy he is. Oh, it's not the editor, it's the deputy editor. Is that okay?
If they've been nominated to come, then that's fine.
I mean,
Kate from Forge is grabbing a laptop. Hi, Brie.
No one needs to be nominated by their publication.
Yeah, not nominated, but just not
Like
turning
Big
up out of the
Brother.
blue as a random.
They just come to represent it, like when we normally have these AGMs in
As long as
person.
as long as
Okay.
you're in a position,
yeah.
as long as
Right.
you're,
1, 2, 3.
someone with a
4,
say in that publication, that's
6,
fine.
7. Kate from Forge says she's. I think we'll meet quorum.
Is Maurice around? Because I have him on Slack, but I don't have his like social media. So if someone has him on there, that'd be great. And also, he's a great guy. I'd want to say hi to him. So if you could get Maurice in here, that'd be lovely. Jordan, if you have any sort of links to him and stuff.
Lauren K.
It appears
Hi,
that my
Lauren.
time fell at the end of the pitching session didn't make everyone think it would be fun.
Hi,
They
Lauren.
didn't all come.
Lauren, are you still here? No, she's gone. Oh.
So how many are we on now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. So I'll quickly. Has anyone spoken to Dan about getting the Motley editor in here?
No, but I think at this point we're not going to have any chance of getting someone to message someone else and then turn up in 2 minutes.
I mean, it doesn't have to strictly be 2 minutes.
It does have to be 2 minutes. It's in our constitution, Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking.
They can't be from the same publication, can they?
Hello?
No, I'm afraid not, because each publication only has one vote.
Yeah.
I can't believe how light it looks where you are, Bethany. It's like pitch black.
I
here.
am right in front of a window, so I'm cheating significantly. But the rain reflects so beautifully in the Guildford streets.
Is your stag buddy here? I assume he has a name. I'm just not sure what he is.
No, just
No.
Stag Buddy. Ah, Pete, stop being annoying. He said he's doing it, so he's actually in another Zoom, but just said he'd be here if it stopped it going.
Yeah, so that'll be fine. Like, so
Teddy's joining.
Great. Teddy from who? Sorry, Marina.
I need to check the group chat. I'm not actually sure at the moment. 2 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no worries.
thank you so much, you
So
guys.
I want to say epigram, but I'm not sure. It doesn't say on the thing.
Teddy. Yeah, Teddy from Epigram. Right, that's 8.
So it's just all on West 16 to join now, and it's like
Or Forge, or the Stag.
also, I'm sure the stag is fine. Like, would it really be the end of the world if it started at like 6:46? Like, I know it's in the Constitution, but like
If we all
30
voted to just
1 minute.
ignore the
Mute myself.
Well, given that Beth is living with a person and they're going to come any second, I feel like
Kate from
fine.
Kate from Forge is asking for the link, so I'm going to send that now. And I think that unless we have already got someone from Forge in here, that
Right,
will
yeah. If they're here before my clock ticks to
Epigram is in.
8:46. Yeah,
Epigram's in
Epigram makes
Just
8.
joined. Sorry for the
I've sent the link to Kate, so that should hopefully be
Oh,
9.
we have another
So that-
person in the waiting room.
There we go. That's 9. Perfect. Right.
We wouldn't be journalists if we weren't cutting it close to a deadline.
Right, okay, so thanks everyone for coming. We can now get started. Obviously, if any publications turn up in a couple of minutes, then their votes are counted as well. I will start off the meeting by saying we've just about met quorum, but if any member publication leaves, then we sort of have to postpone business until we meet quorum again. But we're now at 10 because Kate from Forge has just joined.
They basically don't leave.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to say.
So let me just quickly get the agenda up again, unless unless someone has it to hand in the link, and they could put it in the chat. I think
I can put it in chat.
Yeah. Oh.
Just before we kick off, just on a kind of admin kind of point of view, if everyone could just, because I know there's not loads of us here, we'd want more for Chorusy, but if we all just keep ourselves on mute, apart from whoever is chairing the meeting, and then we'll come, and you either, if you want to chat, just pop something into the chat or raise your hand, and then it becomes less than 10 people all over the place. So I think that's probably the best thing to do. I will take my own advice now and be quiet.
Fantastic. Right, so Firka has kindly just reshared the agenda in the chat, so everyone can have a look at that if they want. I'm going to say, because we're now at quorum, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and just double checking. Kate and Pete, could you both put your publications that you're representing in your sort of handles, and then it'll just double make it help when we're making decisions. Double check who's who. Right, but the meeting is now in order, and I'd want to start by saying thanks everyone for coming. I know it's been a long day. It certainly has for all of us at the SPA with all the sessions, but it's been a great first day of Spank, and now we've got some, one of the most important parts of the year, which is our AGM, and you've all seen the agenda. There's a lot of important stuff on it. A quick point on sort of voting. We'll be conducting voting over Slack, so there's going to be votes on each of the motions, so that's motion 1, 2 and 3, and then on each of the elections, so for the 5 members of the executive committee and 1 trustee. But before that, we're going to have we'll be doing voting in the chat. If anyone wants to be sort of vote privately, that's completely fine. You can message me. I should be on that list of, so you can just private message me every time there's a vote, and I'll make sure that's tallied up. But without any further ado, should we get started with the reports? The first of which is mine. So for those of you who don't know me, I hope most of you do by now, but my name is Ben, and I've been the chair of the SPA since last October. Obviously, we had a shortened period because of the way the last year has been, basically. This year's been quite an unusual one for the SPA. Obviously, in a normal year, we'd have hoped to have some opportunity to meet up at regional conferences and the national conference, but that's sadly not been possible. But this year, I'd like to say we've done a lot. So we've conducted a lot in the way of online events. So we ran 8 regional conferences, including our first one in the Republic of Ireland, in the Northern Ireland Republic of Ireland region. In February, we ran all 8 regional conferences over the course of a week, as well as awarding all the awards. Kate seems to have dropped out the back. What else have we done? I've been leading on sort of sending motions through, helping professionalise the SPA, leading on the recruitment of 3 appointed trustees for the first time, which is something we implemented when we registered a charity last year. We appointed Richard, Chris and Juliet, who've all been fantastic. We also appointed a full team of regional officers and a full team of project officers who've again been great in supporting our work. I've been leading on creation of a new website, which is more accessible, more up to date, more modern, and less of a hodgepodge of websites that have been created since 2014. Over the course of the past 6 months, at times I've had to step in and support other executive officers. So Imi, who was our communications officer until February, March, I stepped in and helped support towards the end of her term. Che as well, I worked very closely with on planning the regional conferences. And I think that is the crux of what the chair's role is, really, helping be the public face of the SPA, representing, helping support all the other officers in doing their projects. And best of all, ensuring sort of the security and the financial solvency of the SPA, which I'm sure you'll all be delighted to know, and you can see in our annual report and financial statement, is healthier than ever. That's sort of a brief overview, and what we'll do after each report is answer questions. So if anyone has any questions that they'd like to go through, now is the time. I think you can all unmute. Oh, and there's a message in the chat. That's not really a question. Does anyone have any questions for me? It's fine if not. No? Okie dokes. Next on the agenda is the trustees' annual report and the financial statements. If you were at the 2020 AGM, you'll notice that these are very similar to last year's documents. That's because what with only registering as a charity in January 2020, we weren't required to submit an annual report and financial statement for that year because the year would have obviously ended in April 2020, and that's what the period that last year's annual report and financial statement covered. They were approved by the membership, and then the previous chair, Orion, and I went to submit them to the Charity Commission, and they said, we don't want these yet, please submit after your next AGM. So what I've essentially done is updated the documents to take into account everything that was already in it, plus some updated parts. Obviously, like since that report was passed, we've facilitated an online national conference, all our regional conferences. So all that's just been incorporated as well. It's also got updated financials, updated lists of who's served as a trustee over the last 14 months. And similar with the financial statement, it's basically just been updated to take into account any transactions from last April until the end of last month. So I have to answer any questions about that report as well. That report is from all of the trustees, and the financial statement is also from the trustees. But does anyone have any questions about either of them? No? I'm going to put you all on gallery view because I actually can't. I can only see some of you. Great. Okay. And that is my cue to stop talking for a while, thankfully for you. So next up, we've got the report from the Training Opportunities Officer, which is Charlotte. Would you like to take it away, Charlotte?
Hi everyone, and yeah, first of all, thank you for all sort of joining forces to make us reach quarantine. But yeah, thanks for that. Really appreciate it. And in terms of what I have done this year, I'd probably say obviously being part of the exec committee, I've been involved in sort of all the official voting stuff here and there. For example, we voted to change Ireland to Ireland and Northern Ireland, which is something quite interesting. And alongside the sort of administrative stuff, as part of my role, I support the Southeast officer, Shannon McDonough, really lovely person, and we work together to sort of I helped her sort of judge the entries for the Southeast conference, and again, sort of hosted a couple of sessions, helped with tech and Matt, and yeah, the same the national conference really. I actually counted because I'm sad like that, and I ended up taking responsibility for organising 11 of the events, and so I was really excited because today we had events like the LGBTQIA events, the personal essays event, and starting your publication and pitching workshop. Great feedback for all of those, and yeah, I'm really pleased that I was able to play a part in getting those panels together and hosting little bits. But then back to what I've been doing this year outside of the conferences. I'd say I've done two main things. The first thing I've done is I've sort of brought back the SBA guides, the SPA guides, just because I do feel there's definitely a gap in terms of resources for students who are just sort of like starting their own publications, or they don't get much guidance from their students union. And Matt's like, I wanted to sort of like help step in and fill that gap for you guys. So we ended up doing like 8 guides on total of like sort of sports journalism, stuff like opinion journalism, lifestyle. And it was really great because it was like different members of like regional offices coming together, different experts. So for example, for the opinion SPA guide, we got Jacob, the opinion editor from the Independent, to do that, which was really, really cool. And the SPA guides aside, the thing I am really, really proud of is probably the mentorship scheme, because it was really stressful, and we had like a crazy amount of applicants, like 175. But yeah, like, and we ended up getting 41 students paired up with like a really wonderful, diverse and interesting group of mentors, like just some amazing people. And, you know, like, I think all of those are still going strong as far as I know. I bother them each month with my 4 a.m. emails to make sure that they know I'm around and alive. And like, yeah, apart from that, like, I've just been, you know, like with Ben's permission, having chats with people, making sure they're okay if something happens. You know, I sort of spoke to organizations like Disaspora Speaks from, what was it called again? Queen Mary's, and like Tabao from like it's a national publication for disability, and kind of recruiting them to become SPA members. And I've done a little bit of like Facebook posting here and there, but I'm just very online and very on Twitter. But yeah, that's basically what I've done this year. I've probably missed something, but that's pretty much what I've done in the last few months. And yeah, like, I'm quite happy that I managed to achieve all that. I don't like sort of think blow my own trumpet, but yeah, it was pretty fun, and I've met some really nice people, and the trustees are all great, and the committee's all great, and I hope you guys have felt that, you know, the SBA guys have been helpful. I hope if you did a mentorship, you got a lot out of it, and yeah, I hope I've been useful.
Would anyone like to ask Charlotte any questions about what she's been up to over the last year? You can put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand, although equally you all have the power to unmute yourselves anyway. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Oh, thank you. I've just been getting feedback. I don't remember you bothering me on Twitter, Marino. Like, it's fine.
I send the official accounts a lot of messages.
Oh, I don't actually manage that Twitter. So you're probably speaking to either Ben, Fiacra, Fiacra, and Matilda, who are all great people. But yeah, it's really great. You can feel you can chat to everyone, and like being able to have that dialogue. And I think that's really, really important. So I'm glad that social media has been responsive for you. And yeah, I'm really glad you guys like to start the SPA guides. And like, if you have any ideas for future ones, just hit me up or hit up the new me next year, and we can make it happen.
You going to keep the mentor thing going next year, or has it been a COVID thing?
No. We've been doing the mentorship scheme for quite a few years now. Actually, I was part of it last year, and that's how, like, Jem was my mentor, so that was a lot of fun, and that's kind of how I got really into the SPA and stuff. And yeah, definitely, we're gonna do it again next year. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit longer. And yeah, if you've applied before, definitely apply again. Like me and Bree, the trustee, like we kind of collected a lot of feedback and stuff. So applicants who maybe didn't get the opportunity this year will be able to sort of take on board how to get their applications through next year. Yeah, if that helps.
Yeah, no, it does. I just noticed I sort of pushed for it this year when things got tough for people, you know, just to buddy up with someone was kind of useful. So
yeah, the buddy
Good.
scheme, that was Imi, our old communications officer, and yeah, that was a lovely scheme. And yeah, I'm glad you got a lot out of that and the mentorship scheme, or the idea of it. Okay.
I'm on mute. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions for Charlotte, no. In that case, we can move on to the next report, which is from our conference and events officer, which is Katie, who joined by election in March. Katie, are you ready? I can't see you on my screen.
Yeah, oh my god, that's really bright. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of difficult for me to say much because I have only done this for about 2 months after taking on from Che, I believe. Yeah. But I've been pretty involved in this national conference, which I assume is the main part of the role, but with the regional ones, which I didn't get the chance to actually take a part in, which is a shame. But I'm not really sure what else to say because I haven't really had the chance to do a lot. Yeah.
If it would be all right with everyone, I could fill in some of the sort of eventsy things that have also been done. So obviously, as I said in mine, Che and I work quite closely on putting together, and obviously with the regional officers as well, putting together the series of online regional conferences. Between that and both the regional awards and the national awards saw record numbers of nominations. I can't quite remember how many it was for regional awards because obviously it's quite a few months ago, but I think it was somewhere in the region about 190, and the national awards just over 1,250, which is marginally more than 2020, but more. So that's the big events things. And obviously there was a what I wish I'd known, was that what it was called, panel back in December with a load of former editors and actually current editors, including Bethany, who's in this call. And yeah, that's about it. It's a lot. Obviously, Katie joined the team quite late, but has been integral in doing helping with the national conference stuff. And again, if anyone has any questions for Katie, or if you want to ask about any of the other stuff that I mentioned, you can ask me, I suppose. Yeah, if anyone has any questions for Katie, the floor's open. No?
It's probably for the best because I don't know if I can
I didn't
answer
have
them,
any.
so.
I didn't have a question, but I just wanted to reiterate what I said in the chat. And well done for picking up in such a stressful time of the year and being here and doing so much stuff. You've done a lot in a couple of months.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats, Katie. Yeah, you've put together a really interesting panel for tomorrow, the reporting race panel, which is really, really important, and it's a really exciting event, and definitely you put so much effort into that, and my validation means nothing, but still, nice one.
Thank you.
Great. If no one has any other questions for Katie, then we can move on to the next report, which is Matilda Head, Communications Officer.
Yeah, hiya. So I also took over the role after a by-election. So I've only been here for about a month and a half or 2 months. So again, not got a lot to say, but I've been involved in obviously processing new member applications, and we've reached 170 member publications now, which is really great. There's quite a steady flow of people joining, which is really exciting to see. And I've been maintaining the newsletter. I sort of did a catch-up one of February, March, April, and then just sent out an update one the other day. And so that's been really good as well, just doing the same things of keeping everyone up to date with what we're doing, and also sending out some information about the Student Journalism Diversity Survey, which was something that we sort of revamped this in the past month or so. Sorry, someone's knocking on my door. 1 second. Sorry. And I also, when I first joined, was involved with helping with some issues that one of our member publications had at a student union. So I was involved with Ben in just being the contact between members and the SPA, and that's just kind of what my role has been, as well as just sort of answering any questions or queries that come into the communications email inbox.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Matilda? No? Okay, in that case, we can move on to the final report, which is Uditi Singh, the sponsorship officer. So Uditi, do you want to go ahead?
Sorry, just before we go further, just there was a question from Jordan.
Sorry. No worries. Sorry, Jordan. Okay. Yeah, Jordan, that's a question for Charlotte, I suppose. It's about the diversity survey, when they're going to be released.
Yeah, hi Jordan. So basically, so the survey has been there was something we've been trying to do, but it has struggled a little bit in terms of engagement. We didn't get it quite right, and so we've been sort of taking a step back and sort of looked over it, and we're just trying to get enough responses to make it meaningful, because if we don't get enough replies from member publications, then the data will just be a bit useless. So we're just still pushing and working to get enough responses to make the data substantive, basically. So if you know anyone who hasn't done it yet, please do it. But I hope that answers the question. Oh, Marino's got his hand up.
Yeah, Marino.
Sorry, I was just going to say regarding the survey, would it potentially be possible, if you're considering, doing a separate version of it to increase engagement? I'm not sure how much added work this would be, but to make a version where essentially, because it was talking about the leaders of each publication, correct? Like people in the editorial team. A version that each person could fill out independently, because there were a lot of questions where there were elements that I didn't necessarily know about our team, and I wasn't comfortable asking without it seeming like a violation of their privacy.
That's a really, really good point, and that was something we because that is something that we sort of heard about and definitely took on board, and that's a really, really good idea. And that's something because I'm not gonna lie, I personally haven't got a huge amount of experience with making surveys, so it's definitely that is an absolutely the best shout, and that's definitely something we're going to move forward and look into next year, well, if I'm around. But yeah, that's definitely something that's on the cards. We've had trustees involved in the survey, and they're going to be sort of keeping an eye on it and making sure it all goes through properly. And I know Chris is one of the trustees who's involved. He wants to chat about it with you.
Yeah, hi there. That's actually a really good question as well. Then I'm just thinking about it in terms of how it works for publications, and I think it's a really good point that you've raised there as well, because I think sometimes it can get a bit, uncomfortable as well. Just asking people, and I think even more so if it's kind of like an online or a remote meeting as well. And I think with a survey like this, I think if you've got a situation or an issue like that as well, though, I think if and when you go back to kind of like those in-person meetings, discussing that particular survey will probably be better within your team publication meetings, and if it's something that you maybe need to take away from that meeting itself to have maybe a separate conversation, then you can do that, but definitely it's not really one that you can have over a remote meeting like this, for sure. So I think that's maybe one that we can look at going forward into the next year.
Great, thanks, Chris. Does anyone have any other questions related to Matilda's reports? No. Keki's also just asked a quick question about where we can fill out the survey. I'm sure we could resend it after Spank Weekend's out of the way. I'm sure we can resend that to everyone. Yeah, that's fine. In that case, I think it's Udice's turn to give her report, if you're ready.
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Hopefully you can hear me and see me correctly. My internet is terrible today. So I was honestly a little bit at a loss of what to say, because in my head I was like, I've done nothing. But I realized that it's the small things that we did as a committee together that have brought us to where we are today. So to start with, I did a lot of the tech work for the North and Southwest Sparks. So I've supported our Northern and Southwest ROs in the regional conferences, and was just generally there for the tech. When it comes to sponsorships, I can say this now, but I was a little bit worried that we would not get as much interest as we would have had we been doing it physically, because with an online conference there wouldn't have been, I thought there wouldn't have been that much interest. But I worked with Ben to create packages that would work for both sponsors and with us. And I'm happy to report that we have made over £4,000 in sponsorships this year, which is wonderful. And we've gotten on board, we've got News Associates on board, we've got the printing charity, Bloomberg, we have, I'm forgetting people, City, Sky News, I'm forgetting people, this is terrible. But yeah, we've managed to get people on board who genuinely want to see student journalism grow and flourish and prosper in the way that we know it's meant to be, which has been very gratifying. Unfortunately, couldn't really secure regional sponsorships, but I think that was just a time thing and like a no one knew what was happening thing. But I'm very pleased with how it has happened throughout the year, and I just want to say thank you to the trustees and the chair and the exec committee and the members for being here today and for making the SPA what it is. It's a very terrible speech there, but hopefully that should suffice.
Fantastic. Does anyone have any questions for Udity and her work over the last sort of 6 months? No? Fantastic. Okay. Well, in that case, that's all 5 reports done. But there's still plenty of fun to be had, as they say. So there's 3 motions on the agenda for today. So there's one entitled Regional Chairs, one on the Reserves Policy, and one on the Press Council of Ireland Code of Practice. On the agenda, these are all linked if you want to read in a bit more detail about them. But yeah, so I'm going to limit everyone to 2 minutes on contributions for this, and try to take speeches for and against in order. So take 1 for, 1 against, and so on, to the extent that that's feasible. So the first motion is regional chairs, proposed by Jordan Hunter and seconded by Holly Jennings. Would one of you like to start off with your 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Hang on, sorry, let me just get my a timer set up. Yeah, so ready when you are, Jordan.
All right. So more or less, the reason that we kind of want to do this is obviously like chairs, regional chairs do quite a bit, and they've been kind of the main connection, especially with devolved nations, or in the case of Ireland. And I think that's one of the things that like devolved nations especially kind of feel like out of reach a lot. So getting regional officers more involved, as well as they use different teams, and so giving them more recognition, I think, is a good way to start this kind of process of how do we connect more with people who are kind of further out. And I think that's like the main reason I want to do this, as well as it kind of encourages people to act like those regional officers to build teams, especially when they're doing events. And I think that kind of like giving them that recognition is more or less overdue, because like especially here in Scotland, we've had some great regional officers over the years, and they've really been great at like putting together teams to like pull off some fairly large events. And it's not just like them doing it, so showing that they're part of a team, I think, is overall beneficial, and I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, would anyone like to speak or speak against this motion? Please raise your hand rather than unmuting, and I'll call on anyone who wants to speak against the motion. If anyone is unclear, this motion would it would essentially just be a blanket change in that it would replace the phrase regional officer with regional chair in the SPA bylaws in all instances that it appears, and yeah, so it'd just be a blanket renaming of the role. Does anyone want to speak against? No. Does anyone else want to say anything sort of about the motion or for or against? Oh, sorry, Marino, go ahead.
No, it's 4. It's to what you just said. I just wanted to thank Chris, our regional officer in London, and thank him for all of his work this year. So, absolutely seconded.
Right. Okay. Bree.
Yeah. I think it's not a bad idea. The only thing I was wondering is if then we need to change the title of the chair to the national chair to differentiate between the regional chair and the chair.
Potentially, does anyone have any thoughts on that? Whether there could be any confusion? Sorry, I think Chris raised his hand and then Jem.
Yeah, I was just thinking pretty much along the same lines as Bree there as well, though, in the sense that we know that it says regional chair and then, chair or whatever. But I think, just to avoid that confusion, whether either the phrasing was something that we could just have a look at, possibly.
Right, Jem.
Yeah, that was going to be, I think, pretty much the same thing, just to make sure that there's no confusion. But absolutely echo, the sentiment of, there's a lot and a lot more support I think we need to kind of put into various different areas. But I think, just make sure we've got that clear, I think would be good.
Nathan?
Yeah, I would agree on having a different name.
Sorry, Nathan, we can't quite hear you, unfortunately.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree on needing to come up with a different name to differentiate between the different chairs, but perhaps not national, just because I'm representing a publication in the Republic of Ireland, which is straight up just a different country by any standard, and a few of the regional ones like Scotland and Wales also contentious to imply that they're all part of the same nation.
Okay. Sorry, Jordan, go ahead. Sorry, Jordan, are you responding to some of the things that have been been heard?
Just a response. So one thing I think we could do, and if anyone wants to take this as a friendly amendment, I would be more than okay with it, if it'd be in order. But we could also change it to for instance, Scotland chair, and then keeping Ben's seat as SPA chair. So that could be done. Either that or understandably regional chair is still very delineated from chair or SPA chair. I think that would be fine either way, but I don't think that's I don't think there's too much confusion. But if you want to substitute it for one of those, I would be more than amendable to it.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say? It is possible to amend the motion if you want to take into account. Oh, sorry, go on, Bree, and then I'll say what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask. Can we just write down what our options are? Because could the lovely gentleman who just spoke just write down the options in the chat site, because I sort of half heard them, but if we can just see them written down, it'd be easier to think about what.
Okay.
I feel like
sorry.
I don't think we could have it would be difficult to have half a word for the national, the chair of the whole SPA, but have that and something else for regional ones.
Point of order, I suppose. Someone has just mentioned, someone who's watching on the live stream has just mentioned to me that the word chair is mentioned in the Constitution, not just the bylaws. But this meeting does have the power to amend the bylaws. But the Constitution, I believe, is it requires a higher level of attendance. So the issue is, I think, that perhaps we would have to, if we did want to change the name of these roles now, we'd have to do that and then change and then change the title of chair at another time. So I don't think that's something that we can action now. I'm just double checking that the word chair is mentioned in the Constitution. Yeah, it is. I'm afraid. Yeah, it's mentioned in the Constitution, so we can't amend that at this point. However, I suppose we could we could in theory pass this motion and then at a further general meeting discuss changes to the chair title, but that's not something we can do in this meeting. So yeah, just clear that up. And Chris.
All right, just only because I've just put it in the group chat, and I just wondered what people thought about it as well. Though, what about something like regional lead? Because I think that still gives it kind of like that weight and you know, that responsibility as well. I know it's not the same as regional chair, but I think it does still give it that kind of like depth and clarity as well. And I don't know what people think about that.
So like Southeast lead, Scotland lead, Wales lead.
Yeah, because you know that's the person that's heading that particular area up.
Okay, is that an amendment to the motion that you'd want to? Oh, sorry, Jem. Just to clear up, regional officers are mentioned in the bylaws, but not the constitution. So we can change the name of the regional officer's position, but not the chair position. Jordan, so Chris, is that a change that you'd like to propose to the motion, regional lead instead of regional chair, perhaps?
I mean, that's probably what I would say purely because I think it avoids that confusion as well. Just to keep it nice and simple, you know, the chair is the chair. We know exactly what their role is. Like I said, I don't think changing it to something like regional lead diminishes the responsibility or adds any less weight to it as well. But that's, I don't know. I'm putting it forward to see if, you know, to see what people think really.
Yeah. Jordan and Holly, do you have any thoughts on that potential sort of switch?
I would like to see where people are with regional officer for regional chair first, just because I don't think it is like that unclear. Like I think people would still understand if I said regional chair, Scottish chair versus, or like Welsh chair versus like Welsh or Scottish lead, Welsh lead. I like, you know, I don't think it's that confusing, but if it's what people in generally want, I'm fine with the change. But I'd like to see if other people have thoughts before giving it the okay.
Okay. Does anyone? Bree, is your hand just up previously, or have you got a view on this?
Me, I mean, generally speaking, I think I completely get the rationale behind it, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I'm nervous about introducing any element of ambiguity about kind of giving chairs and the regional chairs the same title without differentiating from the actual chair. So I don't know what the obvious answer is. Is there a way we can, like, I don't know, go away and think about this in a setting that takes a bit more time and where we don't have to make a decision right now? I don't know. Because I didn't know this was something that people wanted, and I think it's probably a good idea. But maybe this should be done in a more of a kind of collaborative space where we can talk for a bit longer rather than sort of go on and on about it here. I don't know. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I suppose options would be to vote on the motion, and if it was rejected in its present form, the exec could propose a motion so I'll go away and discuss this and consult with members and propose a motion at a further general meeting. Or if they wanted to, Jordan and Holly could withdraw this motion. But I suppose those are the two options if we did want to go away and sort of discuss this and think about it further and further consult with members. But that's not an introduction, that's two possible options.
Yeah, we don't have to resolve to do nothing. Like, I don't want to kick it into the long grass. We could resolve to have a consultation that would report within 1 month, for example, or whatever time frame we so wished. But maybe if it's something that people really care about, it could be done more collaboratively with the regional officers, regional chairs. Anyway, I think I've said everything now.
Okay, so I suppose we could amend the proposed motion in order to change the resolves bit to replace all instances of the phrase regional officer with regional chair in the Student Publication Association bylaws, with the association resolves to command the executive committee and trustees to consult with members on potential renaming of the regional officer positions with a deadline of 1 month from the annual general meeting. Something along those lines. Jordan, I see you nodding. Is that something you might be? Yeah. Sorry, go on, Jordan.
I would be interesting to see if we could pass it first, and then have those consultations. See if it because I don't know if everyone is thinks that this is a confusion point. So I would like to see if we could try to pass it first. If not, or is that not allowed? I'm trying to think. Ben, would I be able to see if it passed first, or?
I don't think if the motion, if the motion passed, you wouldn't then be able to amend it, and if the motion fell, I don't think you could repropose it.
Okay.
My instinct would be I don't think so. Holly, you're the second of this motion. You've got your hand up. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, this is just my 2 cents. I think what a few people have said is really true, that it would be worthwhile engaging with other people, because I'm aware that there's also not a lot of people from other devolved nations and the Republic of Ireland. So I think I'm happy to withdraw as long as we definitely have that consultation about kind of finding something that does fit the role properly.
Okay. Okay, Jordan, do you have any thoughts on that, or?
Yeah, no. If Holly wants that, that's perfectly fine. I think we can go into consultations with it then. So yeah.
Great. Okay. But in that case, the meeting will consider this motion withdrawn, and yet I think the general will of the members is that that is a thought. Well, Jordan and Holly, would you rather amend the motion to command that we have the consultation, or would you rather just withdraw it with a promise that a consultation will be held?
Probably the demand of the consultation, just that way, because just that way it doesn't get thrown further down the to-do list.
Yeah, okay. So should we go with the language? Therefore, the association resolves to command the executive committee and trustees to hold a consultation with members and regional officers, and will report to members within 28 days of the annual general meeting. Okay, should we just have a vote on that, and then we can be sure? So yeah, the options of the amendment are yes, no, abstain. You can put it in the chat either publicly if you don't mind doing that, or if you'd rather do it privately, you can just private message me on Zoom, and I'll keep a tally. And once we've hit 9 votes, so quorum, I'll announce the result, and then we can vote on the motion again. Right. Okay, so yeah, vote whenever you're ready.
I'm right in thinking only member publications.
Yeah, only member publications can vote in this. So we're on 6. Okay, that's 7 votes. We need 1 more person to vote. Or even an abstention counts towards quoracy. So if you want to abstain, you can say that, and that counts. Anyone?
Is it Morgan who needs to vote? Because I was messaging.
There we go. That's 9. So unless anyone else wants to cast their vote, that is 8 votes for the amendment, 1 abstention, no votes against. So the amendment passes. Unless anyone has anything that they'd want to that they want to say about the motion, we could also move straight to a vote on the motion. Is everyone happy to do that? So this is on the amended motion. Great. Okay. So same again. Yes, no, abstain, and again you can do it privately or publicly in the chat. And member publications only. 8 votes. One more. Abstentions. There we go. Right. Okay. That is. And if there any further votes?
Could you say it in a John Burko voice?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Right, that's 7 votes for, 2 abstentions, no votes against. So the amendment motion carries, passes, whatever the word is. Fantastic. So 28 days. That is the 5th of June. 5th of June. Fantastic. So that'll probably be conducted via email or something rather than potentially a general meeting. That's been decided. That'll be announced to all member publications. Let's move on to the other motions. So motion 2 is about the reserves policy. This is a procedural thing that we have to do each year. So this has been proposed by me and seconded by Udity. This is just a procedural thing we have to do each year now. At the last AGM, we passed a reserves policy into our constitution, which set a long-term sort of reserves target for the SPA at either the greater of 50% of expected annual turnover or £7,500 within 3 years of this bylaw's enactment, and that was that 3 years from then would have been financial year 23. At the time of the passing of that motion, the SPA held approximately £4,000 of reserves, and at the time of writing, the SPA held approximately £6,450 of reserves. So obviously making good progress towards the motion. We have this policy to ensure that we can continue to operate should events outside of our control result in a serious financial blow. For example, if another global pandemic was to hit, it'd be to ensure continued sort of financial solvency during that. We're confident that we're making sufficient progress towards this. I mean, since this motion was written and sent out to members, there is now more in the reserves because another couple of sponsors paid their invoices. So we're now even closer to the policy than we were. And the reason we're proposing this, as I say, is because at each subsequent annual general meeting, the members must approve the continuation of the policy for another year. And there is sort of safeguards in place in case it doesn't pass. So the resolution of this motion is essentially that we're asking members to support the reserves policy at its present level for another year and to further report on progress to members at the next annual general meeting of the SPA. So that'll mean that for another year, our target is 50% of expected annual turnover, or
Did he just freeze for everyone else?
It's an amazing screen.
He's just sitting very, very
I
still.
believe
I expect him to go back
has.
over.
You're back now, Ben.
how long did I drop out for?
Less than
Only
less
for a
than 5
couple of
seconds.
seconds. So if you just want to run through what the wording was again, then I think we're good to
Support
go.
the reserves policy at its present level for another year and to further report on progress to members at the next annual general meeting of the SPA. So that would mean that the target continues at the greater of 50% of expected annual turnover or £7,500. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say by raising their hand? Speeches for or against, 2 minutes.
Sorry, I completely blanked. What's going on?
The speech about the reserves policy.
Oh, sorry, I completely just blanked.
Okay. If no one has anything like to say, we can just move to a vote on this one. Yeah. Okay, dokes. So same again. Yes, no, abstain. Publicly or privately. Go.
Marino, you sent it to the wrong person.
Yeah, I fixed it. Thank you. Sorry.
My counting skills are failing me. 1, 2. Okay, we need one more. Great, that is 9 votes for, no abstentions, no votes against. So that motion carries. And the final motion of the AGM is on the Press Council of Ireland's Code of Practice, which is proposed by me, seconded by Fiacre. This is quite a long one, so I'll time myself and I'll try and sum up quicker than possible. Quicker than 2 minutes anyway. Right, so essentially we're proposing this motion because a few months ago the Executive Committee and then the trustees voted to make a change to the SPA bylaws to add in a stipulation that members in the Republic of Ireland should follow the Press Council of Ireland's Code of Practice. This decision was made basically because up to that point it just specified the IPSO Editor's Code of Practice, which obviously only applies to members in the UK and Northern Ireland. So we decided as an executive committee that it wasn't really fair to ask Irish members to sort of subscribe to 2 codes to follow the one that they already follow, because many of our member publications, including Motley Magazine and the UCC Express, are also members of the Press Council of Ireland. Decided it wasn't fair to ask them to follow 2 codes, and the 2 codes are broadly similar in terms of content. So yeah, there are certain differences, some things that one cover that others don't, and we enacted powers under clause 26 of the SPA Constitution, which allows us to make such sort of changes to the SPA rules, like adding this in, but only on the promise that we would pass it at the or propose it to the next AGM. So that's essentially what we're doing. We're saying that it's only fair to ask Irish members to abide by the Code of Practice, which applies to their country, rather than one which has no jurisdiction in the Republic of Ireland. And as a result, we're proposing this, and hopefully you agree that it's only fair to ask Irish members to abide by their own Code of Practice, not the UK one. And that's time. Does anyone have any questions about the motion or speeches against? No? Okay. Okay, so if no one has anything they want to say, we can again just move to a vote. The resolution of this one is to amend bylaw 1F of the SPA governing document, replacing all text with adhere to the Editor's Code of Practice in the United Kingdom or the Press Council of Ireland Code of Practice in the Republic of Ireland for professional and responsible journalism. Should we just move to a vote? Again, yes, no, abstain? Fantastic. Right, that's 9 votes. Does anyone want to? No? Fantastic. In that case, that is 9 votes for, 0 abstentions, 0 votes against, and the motion carries. That is all the motions at this year's AGM. And now we get to move on to the elections. So we're electing the 5 members of the Executive Committee, so Chair, Training Officer, Events Officer, Communications Officer and Sponsorship Officer, as well as 1 elected charity trustee who will serve for a term of 4 years. We're going to start with the election of the Chair. So all candidates will have 2 minutes in which to say why they're the best candidate for the role, and then we'll open to the floor for questions to the candidates, and then once everyone's satisfied, we'll move to a vote. So, election of the Chair. Who wants to nominate themselves for Chair of the SPA?
I'll do it.
Okay. You're not all on my screen, so could anyone who wants to stand sort of raise their hand on the system? No. Okay. So, Charlotte, your 2 minutes start now.
Well, it's going to be a really fierce competition, obviously, so the stakes are really, really high. But yeah, yeah. So like, just a couple of things, like why I think I wouldn't be a completely horrible chair. Like, I think I'm quite approachable. Like, I'm quite talkative. Like, I probably joke a little bit too much, but I feel like I can kind of relate to people. I'm kind of like, I get on well with people, and I think that's really important as like a leader. And like I have experience leading an organization. I previously led Wessex Scene as editor, and it was like our most successful, like not to brag, but yeah, we were like really successful. Like we got like nationally recognized for the first time in like quite a few years. And yeah, and I've also been part of the SPA for a year now. I've sort of seen insight into how it works and like the mechanics of it and stuff like that. And I feel like during my time with the SPA, I've used quite a lot of initiative, and I've always like tried to go the extra mile with things. And I feel like that is something I definitely continue to do if I was chair. And also like I do my masters at City, so I have like professional journalism training in like so professional industry training in like media law and all the important things. And also I have quite a bit of experience in freelancing. I've written for like nationals like The Independent, Metro, Journal Resources, all sorts of different places. I see Gem's responding. Yeah, so I feel like that professional journalism training and experience would mean that I would be able to help guide students to like that, get to that next level, because I was in their shoes and I know how it feels. And yeah, what I'd want to do as chair, like obviously moving forward with a diversity survey would be great. And as well as that, we started like, I wanted to like sort of work on like an overriding diversity policy, because currently we have a policy pertaining to like making our events diverse.
Charlotte, that's 2 minutes.
Okay.
Great. Okay. So yeah, we'll now open to the floor for questions. So yeah, would anyone like to ask any questions to the candidates? Bree? Yep.
Oh, Charlotte, thank you so much for running.
You're welcome.
Are there any sort of particular like changes or things you'd like to update about the organisation? Like, how do we make it better?
So as I said, like a diversity policy, which would means that we have it at the moment for events. And I feel like I was chatting to Gem about it for a while, and Ben, and it would just be about kind of making that something involved with a mentorship scheme as well, some of the other stuff we do. And I feel like that would be really, really important and really, really worthwhile. And moving on from that, like obviously Ben's done some really good work this year with Ireland and getting them more involved in Northern Ireland, but I do think that we definitely need to be engaging more with Scotland and Wales, because yeah, as I think this sort of like goes into another question we've just had, but yeah, there's definitely like a clear need to make people from like Scotland and Wales, from like devolved nations, feel more included and feel more part of things. And I think that is something I'd be aiming to do. And one of the things I would be wanting to put forward, I tried to put forward it this year, but it didn't really work out, is like a sort of exec drop-in where like, you know, once a month, like we'd have our Zoom on, anyone wants to come in and chat to us, any member, whatever, we're here to chat. And like, and just trying to kind of break down a little bit of the distance between the SPA and students, because like I feel like when I was a student anyway, the SPA seemed like this looming entity that just gave awards sometimes, and like we're so much more than that. And I feel like that'd be really cool to get across. Don't know why I did a peace sign there. But yeah.
Okay. There's a few raised hands, so I think we're going to go to Marino and then Holly, would you still like to ask you a question? I know Charlotte touched on it, but would you still like it to be asked?
No, you're all right. I think you covered it, Charlotte. Thanks for that.
No worries.
Okay, so yeah, so we'll go to Marino and then Gem.
Great, thanks, Ben. Hi, Charlotte. I can't speak for the other publications here, but I've heard a lot this year, including at King's, so I think I can at least probably speak for Ketki at Strand, with publications experiencing issues with their students' unions regarding funding, either for this year or upcoming years. So I wanted to ask, as chair, how would you be committed to helping publications sort of
Yeah.
deal with those issues?
So like I used to be editor of Wessex Scene, and our biggest problem was probably funding. Like our students' union wasn't amazing, and they cut our funding quite dramatically. And so it'd be a case of just like proactively lobbying the university and like your students union, your uni, trying to engage in a dialogue with them, and just showing that like you're not just like a group of students, you have a backing of like an actual organization. Like I don't know if you guys saw, but I know Palatine in one of those pronunciations in Durham, they kind of approached us explaining their issues, and we kind of publicized their situation, issued a statement. And I think just kind of calling out like the students' unions and unis who cut your funding, that sort of embarrasses them and makes them kind of, you know, rethink their strategy. But beyond that, like I feel like regional officers are such an underused resource. Like when I was having my problems with Wessex Scene, my regional officer at the time, Jessie, she helped me sort of draft like an email talking about issues like funding and stuff like that. So definitely, again, lobby it, just basically knowing that you can come to us, lobbying on behalf of publications, being willing to speak to students' unions and stuff. Like honestly, like I shouted at my students' union for like a year. So like I like it. I'll happily shout some more. Like I it's like one of my hobbies. So does that answer your question?
Yes, great, thank you.
Okay, and then Jem.
Hey, cool. Thanks for running. I guess my main question, which I'll probably ask of most people that run, to be honest, is obviously you're just about to finish your studies, and then you're presumably be going on into a journalism job, and just wanted to know how you'll kind of plan on managing potentially working in a full-time journalism role with what is quite a big job. In the past, we have struggled with retention and having a bit of turnover because people get a job and it is quite demanding. So I'm just interested to know how you'll plan to, you know, manage those things and how you'll keep the SBA as your priority.
So like, I am somebody who like, I really enjoy being busy. I like doing like a million different things. So for example, this year I have worked full-time weekends. I've done a full-time master's. And as well as that, I've been freelancing quite a lot, but I've still made time for the SPA. I haven't just like done the bare minimum in Barol. I kind of like, I increased the amount of mentees like by nearly double. I proactively engaged in like regional officers in the Southeast. I helped with this conference, and I feel like I definitely have history for managing time, because I used to be on like 5 committees when I was at uni. Again, like I really enjoy volunteering and being busy, and like ultimately and the SBA will be my priority because I just really like student media. Maybe it's a bit sad because I'm like a bit old. I'm so sorry, trustees. But yeah, I obviously am not students any. Okay, now I'm going to be completely like sacked if I even get elected. But anyway, moving swiftly onwards, like yeah, it'd stay my priority because I really like student media. Like I think Richard summed it up when he said that student media is bleep amazing, and I think the same thing, and yeah, that's why I will stay committed. And I've done worse. I've had a lot more responsibility, so a full-time job and volunteering is going to be like a piece of cake for me. It's actually a downgrade from what I do at the moment.
Cool, thanks.
I'm really sorry, by the way. You're all really young.
It's all right, I can take it.
I'm going to mute myself now.
Does anyone else have any other questions that they'd like to ask?
If no one else has one, can I ask one follow-up? If that's
Yeah,
okay?
of course, yeah.
Just on the thing you said earlier about student unions, and I absolutely agree that we should be where miscarriages of justice have been made, that we should be shouting and you know, being loud about that. I guess my question would be around do you also think it's important to also work collaboratively with other places? And I think there's a balance potentially to be had. So more of a thought, I guess, than necessarily a straight question.
Oh no, definitely. Because like my best mate, I actually helped with her campaign. She's like a SAB officer. So I've definitely seen like their side and like how things work from student union side of things. And like obviously with funding, there's stuff you can't control like COVID. And like and I think it's just like, I feel like it's just part of being a grown-up is just understanding there's different points of view to each situation. And I can be a bit like maybe a sort of like, I'm very talkative. I talk a lot, probably too much, but I do listen as well. And also like, I feel like I have a really good resource, not a resource, but like the trustees are always there to advise me as well. And I know I've come to you guys for advice quite a lot this year. So like, as well as just like, using my own common sense, just working with the trustees and working, with the exec, not just running around making choices on my own. Like if a big decision needs to be made or we need to do something, I'm going to consult people and discuss it properly before I do it.
Okay. And I think and Bree and Chris have both put their hands up. I think unless any other members want to ask any questions, after we've done Bree and Chris, we'll probably wrap up and move to a vote, if that'd be okay with everyone.
I'm just pointing out the questions in the chat.
So any questions in the chat, I've been messaging people in case it's already been covered and seeing whether they still want me to ask them. So we're all sorted on the chat, Bree, no worries. Right, so should we go to, sorry, Faith, you were going to say something, weren't you?
Sorry, I was just saying, because I'm co-host, I don't think I have the option to raise hand, but I was trying to signal a reaction earlier. So if it's all right, I might ask a question after Bree and Chris.
Yeah, okay. We'll go Chris, Faith, and yeah, if you don't for some reason have the power to raise your hand, then you can just do any reaction, that's fine. So yeah, let's go to Chris and then Faith.
Yeah, hi Charlotte. Just a quick question really as well. So, the SPA does really, some really excellent and proactive work. So the question that I've got is the in the potential time that you could have as chair, what would be the one thing you'd want to change?
That is a really, really good question. Like,
I know.
that's probably why you asked it. But yeah, like I feel like the most important thing is just to make sure that we get to a point where all of our members feel valued. I think, like, especially if they're from like devolved nations, and just to kind of like show students again, like we're not just like the magic trophy machine, and that we do lots of cool things, and they should get involved. And just knowing that we have their backs, I guess. Does that help?
Yeah. Okay, Faith.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi,
It's been touched on a little bit earlier, but just because the last 2 years of the SPA has been very digitally focused and online focused, and the next year or so is probably going to be a strange mix of online and potentially in person. It's difficult to say right now. So I was just wondering what your feelings were on like things like Spark and the national conference as we move into a year that potentially could see the return of in-person events, or whether you feel that staying online for the next year or so is a worthwhile investment.
To be honest, like, I feel like if we're going to be fine by June, then I don't see any reason why we can't do in-person events. Like, I feel like in-person events are really, really rewarding and really, really fun. Like, I really enjoyed, like, I've never actually been to Spank, which is actually quite sad, but I hosted a Spark, the Southeast one, last year, and that was actually a lot of fun. And like, yeah, and I think it'd be great to meet people in person. Like, I think in terms of networking, like, in person is really good, but at the same time, like, I would really want, like, so for example, we had like a talk last semester about like what editors wish they knew last year. And I'd want to be doing more sort of like Zoom events like that, just because like, you know, it's good to like, I obviously have a mixture, but like in terms of Sparks and Spanks, I definitely want them to be in person, unless like COVID-25 came out, in which case probably not. We could all dress up like the people in Monsters Inc. with the little like socks and stuff and the hazmats.
Okay, and I've had a question sent to me by a member privately. So I'll ask this, and then if there's no other questions from members, we'll move to a vote. So running the SPA is hard because you're expected to have a lot of working knowledge of different areas. How comfortable are you working within charity law to ensure that the SPA is both effective and legally compliant?
Well, like, it's just about reading up on it, isn't it? Like, I have like training in media law. I got like a first in that, so I think I have a good grasp of the law. I mean, I actually did a law degree for a year and I passed it, so I do actually have quite a decent grasp of the law and how it works. And obviously, like, just staying on top of things, consulting the law, consulting members, and again, not just going off and doing things on my own like a dog without a lead. That's a good metaphor, but like, sorry, my completely went off track. But yeah, it's just a mixture of staying on top of things and reading up on stuff and like just consulting other people, because I feel like just working collaboratively and consulting and delegating, like, I might not be a huge expert in charity law, but I know there's probably people like trustees or on the committee who might be. So like, they're definitely people who I'd speak to. And like, it's just about, again, like being collaborative and being proactive in the way you do things. And reading a lot of law. And like, I dropped out of law school, but I finished the year first. So doesn't count. I got a 2-2, which, you know, 50%. That's probably not helping my case. I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Right, so I think unless any other members, rather than members of the SPA team, have any questions, we'll probably move to a vote because it's getting on in the evening. Is that fine with everyone?
I do believe Bethany had her reaction on. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Bethany, did you want to ask a question?
No, that's very kind. I was just giving Charlotte the applause reaction for getting a 2-2 in her first year of law degree. But I appreciate the chance to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Like, I mean, at least someone was happy if my parents weren't.
Okay, so in that case, we'll move to a vote. Charlotte, I'm going to have to put you in the waiting room just while we vote.
Can I make a Jackie Weaver joke before you do? Or not?
No.
Okay.
I'm ruling that out of order. Right, okay. I think we have to move you. Yeah, right. I'm putting you in the waiting room now, Charlotte. Right, okay. So each member publication has one vote. Your candidates are Charlotte, Colombo, and Reopen Nominations. We're voting. Marino has asked me a question privately that I think is relevant to everyone. I'll answer it after this. Sorry, I got distracted there. It's voting's conduct on a first past the post basis. So yeah, if people want to vote again publicly or privately for Charlotte or Reopen Nominations, and once we've got a quorum, I'll count the votes. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, just to double check, this is just for members.
Sorry, yeah, double member publications only.
Marino seems to have been moved to the waiting room.
Sorry. Oh, 2 people entered the waiting room. Who's that?
One of them is Marino.
Marino. I'll let Marino back in.
Apologies, Brie. I stole your thunder there.
Sorry, are we still voting? I didn't know taking out my
Yes,
AirPod makes me leave the call.
Yeah, we're currently on 8 votes, I believe. And sorry, Marina, did you hear who the candidates were?
Sorry, I dropped out about 2 minutes ago because I didn't know taking my AirPod out makes me leave the meeting.
Okay, so the candidates are Charlotte and reopen nominations.
Okay, and we're voting in chat or?
Yeah, you can vote. Yeah, vote in chat, and it's first past the post.
Great, thank you.
Okay, right, that's 9 votes cast. I'm guessing we're not getting any more. So the result is 8 votes for Charlotte and 1 vote for reopen nominations. So I will let Charlotte back in and tell her about the results. Okay. Hi, Charlotte. So the result is, well, you're the new chair of the SPA. Congratulations.
I don't really know what to do now. Like, do I clap myself? Thank you for voting.
Great. Okay.
So I'm not on my own. If that's good, that's the best way to thank me. Like, actually run for stuff, so I'm not just on my own. Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. So next up on the running order is training and opportunities officer. Would anyone like to nominate themselves for training?
Sorry, could I flag the question I asked you previously?
Oh yeah, sorry, Reno, completely slipped my mind. So yeah, people who are graduating this year can run. Yes. So if you're in your final year and you're graduating in like July, you're fine to run. Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah, I'm in my second year now. I was just more curious about the rules in general for next year, for example, or depending on, whatever.
No worries, and hopefully that helps other people who might be thinking of winning as well, but weren't sure whether they were eligible. Right, fantastic. So, training opportunities officer, would any candidate like to nominate themselves for this role? Again, I can't actually see you all, so if you could do a reaction or put your hands up. No.
I don't know how incredibly out of turn this is currently. I just wanted to ask, about time commitments for each role because, I was considering it before the AGM running, but obviously going into my 3rd year.
Yeah. The trustees might be better placed than I to sort of inform on that, maybe Bri or Jem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to pick up on that if you like. Sorry, Bri, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll talk a bit, and then if Bri or Chris or any of the other trustees, I think Rich Man here as well, want to jump in. Generally, I think the general assumption would be there would be some level of kind of weekly commitment. But not too much. I'd probably say it kind of ebbs and flows to a certain extent as well. So there would be some level of weekly commitment that definitely isn't to the level of, we're not talking half a day here. This is, having half an hour here and there for meetings, but obviously that does ramp up when you're getting to the point of Spank is the biggest thing in the calendar, in which we're all kind of expected to kind of put some decent shifts in, and the same for the regional conferences. So I would say there's a level of kind of weekly engagement, and there's kind of like a bit of a cycle around it. I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in. I'm not sure if I've necessarily done the best job. Bri?
No, I was literally just saying, Jem, take it away.
I could jump in and say from my experience, like I've been doing a full-time master's, and like I've worked weekends, and I've also freelanced, and it's okay because like obviously, as they said, like it's good to sort of stay connected and to like obviously put your shifts in and stuff, and it'd be great to sort of get a lot of stuff done this year, but at the same time, like we are students, and like I won't be going around like beating people up if they can't make a meeting, they've got an assignment or something. I won't be like, no, you can't do your degree. Obviously, like while you should like be committed to the SPA, like obviously you have lives and degrees to do, and I wouldn't be like expecting you to be doing stuff for the SPA at the expense of other commitments, if that makes sense. And like it is, and like there are like quieter periods, like obviously like sometimes there'll be a little bit less to do and it's sort of ticking over, and like we have a really busy Spark and Spank, but yeah, apart from that it's pretty fluid, and I think it is quite flexible based on, you know, like I don't know where I was going with that, but it is flexible.
Okay. Bree, do you mind if I read that out? Yeah, Bree also says, here's 2 pence on the time commitments. It does ebb and flow. In quiet weeks, it's just half an hour here and there. Ultimately, we want people to commit for the year and who will do it because they're passionate about improving student journalism. So in light of all that, does anyone want to nominate themselves for Training Opportunities Officer as it stands?
I'd be happy running.
Yeah, Bethany. Okay, great. It's 1 minute for all the other positions, and ready when you are.
Cool. Hi. So I'm about to graduate, which is why I look like this. I'm quite tired at the moment. But my name's Bethany. I'm the Editor-in-Chief of Insight at the University of Surrey. I'm a freelance journalist, and all of the work that I have done, which I'm quite proud of, has come from student media, from working on it. So I really want to work with publications, especially maybe with less funding like my paper has, to get them into a position where they can do what they love kind of as much as they want, be that writing. I mean, they can do anything else, but I probably won't focus much on that. Yeah, the SBA have been amazing. I see Ben maybe telling me my time's cutting short, but yeah.
Sorry, no. But you've got 10 seconds left, go on.
I would just love to work with the rest of the SPA committee to enhance the opportunities that student journals have to broaden their paper and their own work.
Oh, sorry, not you, Bethany, my phone. No. Right, okay, so same routine. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask Bethany? Hands up, please. Right, Jem was marginally ahead of Bree there, so we'll go Jem then Bree.
Sorry, in the interest of fairness, I feel I should just ask the same question around how you would, I mean, obviously you've been juggling quite a few bits as you've studied, but you'll be kind of finishing and going on to whatever's next, and how you'll kind of fit this around with whatever you're doing when you kind of, if you were elected, you obviously wouldn't leave student journalism, but how you would fit that in the future.
So I am not 100% certain what my next steps are, because some job processes, they take a long time, but I'm kind of, this sounds a bit cheesy, but keen communicator, would just work with the team to make sure we can all fit things in, and that's me included. I'm quite good at juggling. This, my final year, I've been working probably like 1 or 2, maybe a few more shifts a week on the news desk at The Independent, running a student magazine, doing some of the freelance work. So I can promise that the experience in juggling would make me able to be on the team and incorporate that into the rest of my world.
Cool, thanks.
Great, Bree.
Hello, thank you for running. I just wondered if you wanted to talk us through like kind of any experience or kind of successes you've had with training and opportunities with the publications you've run, or in sort of the work you've done so far in student journalism.
Yeah, so a lot of the so one of the successes will either be more or less successful come tomorrow night, but we're up for 3 different awards. 2 of them are from our Black Lives Matter issue, which is right there on my table, that we ran, and a lot of that was engaging with students at our university who haven't written for Insight before, or just hadn't written before, because yeah, I'm at the University of Surrey, and I think that says enough about the diversity of people, especially in student media. And so ensuring that there are opportunities specifically for all students is something that's really important to me. And yeah, the main feature from that one article got shortlisted for best feature and lifestyle. And then as well, just like confidence, making sure that there's always someone like approachable and friendly to have there. We had quite a lot of that with Insight, people saying they want to write but they're too scared. And one person who said that, she was my news editor this year and is going to do her master's in journalism at City, when a few years ago she didn't want to, she was too scared to write. So that kind of stuff, like making sure that there are opportunities for people who don't automatically see student journalism as like the most welcoming place for them. I think I rambled, so I'm going to stop. I hope that answered the question. Please let me clarify if it didn't.
I'm conscious that the first couple of questions we've had have been from trustees. If any of the members would like to say anything, ask any questions to Bethany, please put your hands up or stick them in the chat. But while I wait for those, we'll go to Chris.
Hi there. It's been a challenging year and a bit, to say the least, for everyone. And I was wondering what your thoughts were on training and kind of like opportunities in particular, and something you'd specifically like to bring to the table that's a bit different to what we already do in that role.
I'm gonna just process that question real quick and get up a good answer for you. I think specifically working with students' unions to make sure they know the importance of student papers. I know that can be, for me, like my student union have been better this year, but they don't really, before we started getting awards and before, I started writing more, they didn't really care about student papers. So I think during the pandemic, when budgets are really tight, working with students' unions to make them know that they're there, so kind of almost decentralizing the role of the SPA a bit, not actually changing the structure, if that makes sense, but making sure we're working with kind of all elements of the student publication process, and also for those that depend more on print, who now can't give out physical copies of their paper, working to make sure that their digital editions, if they want, are good too, so they can continue doing the work, because like my paper, we can't print very much, but luckily our digital is okay.
Thank you.
Great. Does anyone else have any other questions for Bethany?
I have one.
Yeah, go on, Charlotte.
Just like I was just wondering if you had any ideas about sort of like what you would do in terms of like helping student media, basically, like helping to train them and stuff. Like obviously we've got the SPA guides, and like it'd be cool to carry those on if you wanted to, but like if you got any other ideas, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think I always find that, like for kind of my paper and the stuff that I do in freelance world, people like talks, they're nice, so like doing a few more of them, especially now that like online talks, whilst not like as well loved as in-person talks, they're cheaper to run, they're easier to get everything together, so continuing them, like, but for specific papers, so doing it with the SPA, I was one of the editors who did the What I Wish I Knew ones, and that went really well. But like working with unis and publications to say, if you want something on political journalism, come to us, we'll help you do that. And then offering guidance there, so tailoring it for publications as well as going more general to the wider student population.
Damn, I never thought of that. I thought of that.
We'd work well together, babe.
Great. Sorry. Yeah. Bree, have you got your hand up just from before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm gonna say that's it in terms of questions for this role, because well, just because. Bethany, I'm going to put you back in the waiting room, if that's right.
Yeah.
Hi, Bethany.
Bye.
Great. So same routine as before. Each member publication has 1 vote. Your candidates are Bethany Dawson and reopen nominations. You can send it privately or publicly. And once we have 9, once we have 9, then the result is decided. Is anyone else going to cast their ballot? No. In that case, I think we've just got the 9 publications left, actually. Right, that is 9 votes Bethany, 0 votes for reopen nominations. So let's let Bethany back in.
Ben?
Hi, Bethany. Congratulations, you're the new Training and Opportunities Officer of the SPA.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'm very excited to be on the team.
Ben?
Yes.
Yeah, so Jordan from Glasgow Guardian just said he's got to head off at 9 o'clock and he was wondering if it was possible to like maybe limit the questions for the next 3 positions just to make sure we get it done and we don't lose our quorum.
I'm not sure we can necessarily put a limit on it, but I will. I'm going to say I'll be a lot more strict on the amount of questions we have. Is that okay, Jordan? I don't think we'll still be going at 9 because inside knowledge. We'll be fine. Okay, so next up is Conference and Events Officer. Would any candidate like to nominate themselves for Conference and Events Officer? Hands up.
Hello.
Hello.
I would like
Is
to.
that a nomination?
Yes, it is.
Great. Okay. And okay, so that's 1. Would anyone else like to nominate themselves? No? Okay. Fikra, you have 1 minute starting when you're ready.
Hi, my name is Fikra. I am the current digital media officer for the SPA. The last year I've been working the social media channels and website design. I believe I would be a solid fit for the role next year. I have what I believe to be solid knowledge of how the SPA works, what it could benefit from, and what it could, what is currently being done that it might not benefit from right now. And I have deeply enjoyed this role, and I would love to continue on in some fashion on the executive committee, knowing and working with Matilda and Amy previously. I feel that the 2 roles are very interlinked, and I feel like this would be a solid kind of moving point on. That's everything I have. I'll leave everything else up to questions if anyone has any. Thank you.
Fantastic. Charlotte's got her hand up, and of course, anyone else has any questions, please put your hand up or ask them in the chat, and we will ask them. Charlotte, go ahead.
Okay, so like you said that you think there's things the SPA would benefit from and that there's things they're doing right now that's not necessarily working. Would you be able to sort of expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. Is there one in particular you'd like to start with?
No, I'll let you choose. Go wild.
Right now, I think there's been a wonderful kind of engagement with student publications on social media, mainly because again, as we talked about, the last 2 years has been primarily online. The SPA does coordinate a lot of its student engagement online anyway, just due to the fact that everyone is so spread out in terms of regions. But this year in particular, I think Amy and Matilda have done a wonderful job kind of engaging with students that during times of COVID-19 and pandemic have found themselves cut off from their university, and other members of their publication, either due to distance or local lockdown. I feel like the SPA has done a wonderful job in kind of making sure that those members and those publications have stayed connected, and it's something that I'd like to continue doing on in the future, regardless of whether or not we continue on in a lockdown or in a pandemic or any kind. I feel that that kind of engagement and that kind of sense of security that the previous communications officers have built up is fantastic. In terms of what it's doing right now that I would like to see changed, sorry, I'm trying to consider the best way to like phrase this. I feel like a lot of focus, and this is honestly on me as well, and it's something I'd like to improve upon in the future, is the sort of reliance on social media to get messages across. We have our Facebook groups, and we have obviously Twitter and Facebook and everything, but I feel like more of a focus on mailing lists and direct engagement with members, similar to how we talked about building that that network of security for members. I think that could also be improved upon by relegating info less to social media and more to direct communication. That again, it's a flaw of mine that I put a lot of emphasis on social media for getting information out, and that's something in the last year that I've seen doesn't actually work that well. So it's something I'd like to improve upon going forward as part of communications.
Sorry, Charlotte, can I just jump in there a sec? Faircret, are you running for communications officer? It sounds a bit like from your statement that that's what you are talking about.
I am, yes.
Oh, sorry, this is conference and events officer.
I would like to retract my nomination.
Or why
We
don't
love
we
to see the
do communications
enthusiasm.
now? We could just do communications now and then.
We've got communications is the next one, Charlotte. So I'd like to see, is there any other candidates for events officer? No? Okay, in which case we'll move on to communications officer. Is it fair to say your statement was for communications officer?
It was, yes. I apologize
Okay, in
deeply.
which case, I've also had two statements sent in by all the people on the SPA. So I'm going to read them if people are okay with that. I'm going to time myself so it doesn't go over a minute. But are people generally okay with that? Yeah, okay. So actually, I'm going to get them up on my screen because I don't trust my phone. So the first candidate is first statement is from Matilda Head, and my time is. I mean, does someone else want to time me for?
Yeah, I'll time you. Is it a minute?
Yeah, a minute.
Hang on.
We've got a slightly calmer alarm than Ben's.
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Sorry, I just live life there. Charlotte will be going back to conference and events at the end.
Okay, so
ready
we
when I
have
am?
a minute starting now.
Okay. I would really enjoy continuing my role as communications officer, as even in the 2 months I've been in the position, I have thoroughly enjoyed the role and connected with student publications. I'm experienced in the main parts of the role due to my time spent working with the SPA so far, and can proficiently compile the monthly newsletters and stay on top of processing member publications. In the upcoming year, I would love to connect more closely with our member publications. I think this can be done through more work to put a face to the SPA on social media, making us all seem much more approachable. I would envisage this happening through more activity on Instagram stories and interaction with student publication social accounts.
Cool. You had 20 seconds left.
Okay. So that was.
Out of curiosity, could you say who that was for? Because I didn't get a name.
Sorry, yeah, that was Matilda Head. I'll put the three once I've done the next. I'll put the 3 names in the chat, and then we're completely clear who's running. And then Jem, when you're ready, I've got the other one.
Great. Can we we've heard from Fikra, that was Matilda Head, and next we're hearing from
Rue Pitt.
Perfect.
Great. Okay.
Time starts now.
Hey everyone, I'm Rue. I'm standing to be your communications officer for the year ahead. Apologies for not being present at the AGM. I'm counting votes for the local elections. I've been the alumni officer for the SPA for a couple of months following a by-election. I've been involved with Concrete at UEA for the past 5 years as a writer, photojournalist and editor. I've also been a publicity officer for a variety of societies where I've won 3 awards for my use of social media. As your communications officer, I will endeavour to increase engagement with our members and alumni. I will also polish the SPA's social media, utilising all channels available to engage our membership. I know how annoying it is when information is posted on Twitter and not elsewhere. Alongside the core elements of the role, I will work with the wider executive committee and trustees to ensure we keep moving forward as an organisation and are able to support our members and their publications.
I'm really gutted we didn't get to hear my alarm, but yeah, there you go, we're done.
Great, okay. Obviously Matilda and Rue can't take questions. So I think it's fair to move to a vote instead of taking any further questions for Fikra. If that makes sense to people, because Fikra's had a couple of questions already.
I don't think it's fair to question Fikra if the other two can't talk at all.
That's on them though, because they didn't turn up. I don't mean that to say that with any bias. However, if people aren't here for the election, the precedent is that you can ask a few to the people who are in the room.
Yeah,
Okay,
I not ask questions just because people haven't turned up.
Okay, so we could ask if people have further questions for Fikra from the last one, then we can have a couple of questions.
Ben, could you also just stick the names in the chat, please?
Yes, sorry, yeah, I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
They're in there, and Bree, you've got your hand up.
Hello, I'm happy to jump out of the way if members want to ask one, but I just thought I'd check thoughts on the bloody SPA. Yeah, redesigned. I thought it was. I don't know where we're at with it.
Yeah.
What do you want to do to it? I mean, it's a small thing, but the mobile site is particularly crap, and I just think it doesn't make us look too professional. And I know that it's been something that we've dreamed about doing for literally years. So this is not a criticism of any one person or any one administration.
It is, and it is. It's a small thing, but it is a rather important thing. A lot of what has been done right now has been work on the back end. It's difficult with a site that has been not updated, but rather just because it's running on an old version of WordPress to migrate everything over safely. We have a lot of plugins. Everything has to be kind of updated on the back end before we can move forward with the front end production. We have designs out, and it's just a case of making sure nothing crashes when we make a transition. It's something that I would like to finish personally this year, and not as in by the end of 2021, but as in within the weeks following the national conference. I know things have been kind of taken away from, or the national conference has kind of moved priorities away from other elements of the SPA. But after this weekend, it's something I'd like to dedicate full attention to, not just as the DMO, but as communications officer as well. Great.
Okay. We've got hands up from Marino and Teddy. So would you like to go in that order?
Yes, I'm conscious that we're running not low on time, but I'll be quick about this. I agree absolutely with what you said about increasing engagement with member publications and member leaders, not through social media, but via sort of direct communication. So one thing you mentioned is newsletters, but I also know that we already have a newsletter. So I wanted to ask a little bit more in depth about how you would go about this sort of direct engagement, because I think it's something that needs to be done, but I'd just like to know a little bit more about what your thoughts were.
Sure. So as Jordan pointed out there, a lot of work is done by the regional officers. The executive committee does a wonderful job with engagement, but there is a point where they can only do so much with so many member publications in so many regions. So a lot of that work is delegated to regional officers. For this kind of direct communication, it can't be entirely on the executive to push out that kind of content. So I'd love to work with the regional officers closer and with whatever committees they build themselves up with in order to create more personalized content, more personalized communication per region, rather than a sort of global, or not global, but association-wide communication. This could take many forms. This could take the form of personalized newsletters for each region, events and meetings in a regional basis. It's something that, again, with everything going digital right now, is a lot more possible than it would be in person. And it's something I'd like to focus on a little bit more, but alongside the kind of larger scale communication that we have as an association and during these kind of conference times, and including outside of conference time. It would be nice to kind of keep these sort of large scale communications going, but I do think a smaller kind of on the ground approach is required at times.
Great, thank you very much.
Right. And we'll go to Teddy next, but I think after Teddy, if there's no other member publications who want to ask a question, we'll move to a vote. I think I'm just getting a bit conscious of time. So Teddy.
Yeah, I'm conscious of time as well. And to be honest, you kind of just answered it there, but don't feel free not to dwell on it. But how would you? I think you asked it earlier. As we come out of the pandemic, how would you maximise sort of both online digital comms and in-person comms? I know you just touched on it then, so feel free to just sort of repeat what you said. But
no, it's fair. I'll keep my answer brief just because I realize I'm conscious of time. But yeah, the online communication we've had has been great. Matilda and Imi have done a wonderful job with it, and I would like to keep that going. In terms of in-person communication and events, obviously a lot of it will be left to the events and conference officer, a position that I almost ran for by accident. But ignoring that fact, it's something that is difficult to kind of parse given the current situation. But it is something I'd like to make plans for in case it's available, whether this be meetups on a local scale. So obviously we have a huge amount of, just off the top of my head, we have something like 3-4 member publications in the Glasgow region alone. Localized meetups and localized kind of communications for those specific regions would be nice. Whether that takes a digital form or an in-person form is not irrelevant, but it's something that can be worked in both ways, depending on what's required in the year ahead and depending on what restrictions allow. I hope that answers your question. I realize I'm conscious of time.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Teddy. Thanks, Fakra. Are there any other member publications who want to ask a question? No. Okay. In that case, I'm going to just always launch my desk across the room. I'm going to remove Fakra and send him in the waiting room, and then we'll go straight to a vote. As a reminder, the candidates are Fakra Johnston, Rue Pitt, and Matilda Head. Each member publication has 1 vote, and yeah, go ahead. First past the post.
Morgan, you accidentally sent it to me.
Right, okay, that's 10. Give me 2. Give me 2 secs. A-level maths coming in handy.
I dropped maths in year 10.
show off that you can do maths.
I tried to drop maths, but then my mum said I won't be any good at physics, so I had to do maths.
My mum said I should be a lawyer, and look where I am now.
My dad said I should do the feminist thing and do STEM when I'm older, because we need more women in STEM. It didn't work.
Ugh, STEM.
Right, okay. So the result is 9 votes for Fikra, 1 vote for Matilda, no votes for Rue. And I'll don't let on. Is he back? Yeah, he's back. Congratulations, Fikra. You're the new communications officer of the SPA.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I'll message both Matilda and Rue with the results. And the next is the final, of the initial runners of exec committee elections. It's sponsorship officer. Would anyone like to nominate themselves for sponsorship? No. Okay. That's fine. And then there's another election for one elected charity trustee for a 4-year term. Would anyone like to run for trustee? No? That's right. And just circling back around, would anyone like to run for conference and events officer?
I am not going to say anything this time around.
Okay, so that means the new chair is Charlotte Colombo, the new chair and opportunities officer is Bethany Dawson, the new communications officer is Fikra Johnston, and by-elections will be held for conference and events officer and sponsorship officer, unless anyone wants to declare themselves now. No? Okay. And I think we need to hold another general meeting to elect another charity trustee. But I will double check that in the constitution, and any arrangements to appoint a new trustee will be sent to all members. Sorry, go on, Jordan.
Just wondering. So with the motion 1, we set a timeline of 30 days. Yes.
28. So that is 28 from today. So that's the 5th of June.
Okay.
Is that okay? And well, obviously it would probably be up to the next exec to decide whether that's a general meeting thing or just a communication to all members, but that will be communicated ahead of time. Fantastic. Okay. Brilliant. Does anyone have any other business? Agree?
I was just going to suggest that the new exec just hang around at the end and get a nice screenshot of them all together to, posts.
Cool. Okie dokes. Well, in that case, congratulations to the 3 people elected. Keep an eye out for people for confirmation of how we're going to fill the remaining positions. And thank you all for coming. I know it's been a bit longer than it should have been. Thanks for coming to Spank Saturday. Hope you're all excited for Spank Sunday.
Tomorrow.
Spank Saturday. But enjoy the rest of your evening, and congratulations to everyone involved, and good night.
Thank you very much. Well done, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, Ben, for everything you've done this year.
Have a good evening.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ben, for all you've done this year.
Wow.